Absolute Power by Mark Tavener, starring Stephen Fry and John Byrne.
Must see you at once, Archie. I'm going to a meeting, Clive. Clive?
Why do I get all the worst jobs?
Clive. You get all the worst jobs because you're Clive. And what is it now, little one?
Well, it's the bald people image relaunch. You remember that chap who came in last week and you said, there is what I believe is termed a slaphead in reception. Give him to Clive.
Well, it does ring a distant bell, yes.
And he wanted me to devise a campaign to make being bald hip, hot and happening.
And?
Well, it isn't. I mean, it's all very well when David Beckham does it, then it's trendy.
But fat, middle-aged blokes going bald, not very hip, hot and happening.
Exactly.
Yes. So what did you do?
Well, I set up a national poetry competition to celebrate baldness. The thing was baldness as a thing of beauty, a sign of virility, that sort of thing.
And?
We've had some entries.
Oh, proud, erect, tumescent bonce.
It goes downhill after that. Try the next one.
My boiled egg. My own St. Paul's, I love you still in bed as I bounce off your tummy and the sun bounces off your head.
Yeah, I don't think it scans.
I'm not sure that's its biggest problem. The Wanderer returns.
I've just come from a meeting with the Liberal Democrats, Charles.
And?
I'm tearing my hair out.
Charles, over here.
Over there.
You sure this is safe?
Well, of course this is safe. This is the campaign to re-elect George W. Bush. There's nobody here at all.
Charles, I want you to meet somebody. She's over there.
Over there? Not here? Oh, I wish I'd brought the executive pogo stick.
Charles, follow the money.
It has been a cardinal principle of my life to follow the money.
Charles, follow the money.
Good God, you are the campaign to re-elect George W. Bush.
Charles, we have a commission for you.
Archie, I've heard of a whispering campaign, but this is ridiculous.
Charles, this is a personal request from the President of the United States.
It is imperative that the President is re-elected. The future of the free world depends upon it.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, my job depends upon it.
And so does yours. Charles, the PM is very keen for you to accept this commission. It will mean a year in the United States.
You mean it involves missing Wimbledon, a summer of Test cricket, and England's footballers getting knocked out of Euro 2004 10 minutes after they've arrived? Oh, I don't think so. I would take an awful lot of persuading, I fear.
How about the finest hotels, the use of a private jet, a great deal of money, and the challenge of your life?
That really is an awful lot of persuading.
No.
But, Martin, this is it. This is the ultimate test. After this, you can put your feet up, sit in your rural paradise...
I'll spend the rest of my life thinking George W. Bush paid for it. That there is some corner of some Devon village that is forever W.
You're not having one of your periodic fits of morality, are you?
Everyone has to draw the line somewhere.
No, they don't.
Well, everyone except you does. I decline to lift one finger to get Bush re-elected. I cannot stand George W. Flaming Bush.
This is a personal request from the PM.
Well, I don't like him much.
Well, that does rather make my point, if I may say so. It doesn't stop you from accepting his money, does it?
Well, all right, that's a fair point. But there is a difference. The Prime Minister is not actively wicked. He's a silly little boy who means well.
I am going to accept this commission.
Fine. Well, I'm not.
It will mean the parting of the ways.
Then so be it.
After all the years, I can't bear the tears to fall.
I can.
I can't live if living is without you.
I can. Oh, I shall miss you, of course. I've been looking forward to missing you for years. You're so difficult to miss while you're still here.
You are correct, monsieur.
Do I need this? Thank you, Morris.
Maurice, monsieur.
Morris, one man celebrates, he contemplates the tapestry of life. Another man hates to wash the plates in a tapas bar in Lewisham.
That does not rhyme, monsieur.
Well, I know it doesn't rhyme.
Ce n'est pas one of your best.
Morris?
And monsieur?
Claret off, Morris.
I clean and shine and polish your head, my genie's lamp. The money we've saved on shampoo has paid for a house in Hampstead.
Clive,
your mop on top is long gone. There's nothing up above. But I don't care about your hair, mon cher. It's you I love.
Clive, I'm sorry. I'm going to have to kill you. Come here to be killed.
No, I didn't ask for this commission.
No, I suppose grudgingly that is a mitigating circumstance. Very well. Sentence commuted to hard labour.
But the bald people image relaunch is hard labour. That poem's the best one we've had so far.
Happily, I have bigger fish to fry. Martin will see to the others.
Oh, Lord.
Martin is taking over all my clients.
Lucky Martin.
Now, you've already got the Lib Dems. What are they after exactly?
They're looking to grow. They need somewhere bigger to keep all their faces.
Ah, yes. Oh, the National Association of Funeral Directors.
What?
They want an image relaunch. Well, you'll think of something. Tell them to show up at funerals with George Melly suits and banjos and send them an invoice. Now, this one is rather difficult.
Ainsley Harriott?
Wants people to take him seriously as an artist.
Oh.
You can always change your mind, you know.
I'm perfectly capable of running Prentiss McCabe on my own, thank you.
Are you? Yes, of course you are. Well, look, come and meet my American friend anyway, if only for curiosity's sake.
I bet she wears dark glasses.
Well, yes, she does, as a matter of fact.
And a slightly sinister look.
Difficult to tell under the glasses.
She paying for lunch?
Certainly.
Well, I suppose the more money she spends on lunch, the less she'll have for re-electing W.
Yes, well, that's one way of looking at it.
I've been telling Alexandra all about you, Martin.
The philosopher king of political spin.
Well, I can hardly say that.
Neither would I.
Of course, philosophy isn't exactly my subject.
No, I can believe that.
I spent 3 years reading socioeconomic and geopolitical pan-global theory.
Took you 3 years to read that, did it?
You know, Martin, back home we're very big fans of your Prime Minister.
Well, I should take him with you. He's going cheap in the sales. Suspend him over the Potomac and throw eggs at him.
Very droll, Martin.
Yes, he is droll, isn't he? He exhibits his drollness in the Tate Modern.
And I know how highly your services are valued by Prime Minister Blair.
Ugh.
Excuse me?
Sorry, it's just Prime Minister Blair is such a ghastly Americanism. Well, I suppose it's to be expected.
You're being particularly droll today, aren't you, Martin?
My point is this. We want to buy Prentiss McCabe as a package. We want the both of you. Guys, you're a team. Archie here tells me you're inseparable, like gum on a frog's ass.
You said that, did you, Archie?
I don't remember saying it.
Martin, what do I do to get you on board?
Endeavour to get through an entire English sentence without using the word ass. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't, can you? You're an American.
Your behaviour was unpardonable. Unpardonable. It was pure xenophobia. Against anyone but Americans, it would be called racism.
No, pompous nonsense. It was cheery, friendly banter. Hold the cheery, hold the friendly, give me a banter to go.
If there is one thing I cannot endure, it is mindless anti-Americanism.
Oh, I quite agree. I despise mindlessness.
And you sit there, drinking the woman's cognac, spending her money like there's no tomorrow.
Charles, did you see the number of security blokes she'd brought with her? It would have cost more than our lunch to buy them one chip each.
Well, that's it. That's categorically it. I have no scruples.
Well, that's true, Charles, but it's not breaking news.
I have no scruples about leaving you to it.
The parting of the ways.
Yes, the parting of the ways.
The fond farewell.
Hold the fond. And whilst we're about it, some more of my clients for you. Oh, yes, Martin, this is where you're going to have to grow up in a hurry. This is where you discover work. Reality is about to strike.
And now the end is near. My locks must face the final parting.
Get out!
Have a good trip, Charles.
America, land of the dirty trick. You know, it's one of the great regrets of my life that I was too young for Watergate.
Oh, Watergate was a monumental cock-up, Charles.
Only because I wasn't there.
Well, I wish you good luck. Charles, just because you're in Washington, it doesn't mean you're not still working for TB.
Indeed not.
He's taking a keen interest in this election. The thing is, he's got very close to this president, really very close. Some people might think too close. And, I mean, it's not for us to interfere in the democratic process of another country.
Indeed not.
That's why we want you to do it for us. You see, the fact is that if there were to be a huge swing against Bush, it might have knock-on effects, if you take my meaning.
Yes, quite so. We wouldn't want the PM left looking a complete tit, would we?
Least of all when an election of our own is beckoning. Of course, it doesn't mean you'll miss most of our election planning over here, but never mind. I'm sure we can leave things in Martin's capable hands.
Oh, good heavens, yes. Shower him with work. Martin loves work. Tons and tons of it.
Oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear, oh, dear.
Shall I pour your morning claret, Martin?
I haven't got time.
What?
I'm afraid claret may be a thing of the past. Clive, see how this grabs you. Featuring Dame Judi Dench, Sir Donald Sinden, and starring Ainsley's serious Harriet as King Lear. What do you think?
Well, it's all right, but if Charles were here, he'd have renamed the whole thing Ready, Steady, King.
Yes. You know, it's amazing the sheer amount Charles got through. It really is amazing the amount he got through. Now, what else is on the agenda?
Oh, you've got the funeral directors at 3.
Yeah, they may be just in time.
Yeah, the Australian rugby team at 4.
What?
They want an image relaunch. Then we're having a meeting about my bald people, and then you're telling Piers Morgan how to make people love him.
Urgent meeting, Archie. Oh, dear.
Oh, Martin, you do know you were supposed to be in a meeting with the Liberal Democrats about half an hour ago.
Yeah, you did mention it.
Well, they're still waiting.
Clive, the Liberal Democrats have been waiting 100 years. They're good at it.
Your role in the election is vital.
To see off Michael Howard?
Good Lord, no, we're not worried about him.
Really? Have you ever heard of the arrogance of power, Archie? He's terribly good in the Commons, you know.
Michael Howard? Really, Martin, it's most unlike you to be so Westminster Village. Michael Howard is excellent on Planet parliamentary sketch writer, and the rest of the country is something you threaten the children with.
You're terribly confident about this, aren't you?
The health service is safe in Michael Howard's hands. Do you think so?
Well...
Michael Howard is a warm, wonderful, cuddly bunny. Honest.
Yes, I do see your point.
We're not worried about him. Well, a bit, but not unduly. Our concern is the enemy.
Sorry, I'm being rather slow. The enemy?
Exactly.
Gordon.
Precisely.
You want him shafted?
Got it in one.
And I'm to be Chief Brown Shafter.
I want him psychologically flawed and politically buggered. Frankly, Martin, the PM has just about had it with Gordon. It's one thing after another.
Yes. Low inflation, low interest rates, record low unemployment.
What?
Must be very galling for your chap. I mean, everything worthwhile this government's actually done has been done by Gordon, hasn't it?
Martin, I don't think you're quite hearing me.
I mean, what does your bloke contribute when you come down to it? A cheesy grin. You feel he ought to be sat at the piano playing a medley of family favourites. Except the only one he knows is I can't give you anything but love, baby. But the audience are sick of that song.
Martin, I do hope you understand your role in the great scheme of things.
Oh, I understand it. You want me to take a clever, principled, substantial politician and cover his reputation in muck because your chap can't stand the comparison.
Yes. I mean, no. Martin, this is no time for being brilliant, but fundamentally unsound.
Charles, over here.
Over where?
Here.
What? Yes, I see.
Are you sure this is safe?
Safe? This is a phone box the size of the Dorchester, only in America.
The president was most impressed, Charles.
Thank you.
So, what did you make of him?
He seemed very straightforward and uncomplicated.
You're being patronizing.
No, not at all. There's a lot to be said for a politician who does what it says on the tin, so to speak.
He's not completely stupid, Charles.
Well, do stop apologizing. Simplicity is a virtue in politics. I mean it. You know, I've worked for TB for 6 years, and I haven't a clue who he is. To every Blair, there is an equal and opposite reaction, Blair. I don't know who he is. I wonder if he does.
Well, I'm glad you found Washington so uncomplicated. Can I give you a ride somewhere?
No. Since I'm here, I'll phone my old partner in crime, see how he's getting on. Nose to the grindstone, shoulder to the wheel, or face first in the poo.
Give Martin my regards.
I will. He might always give them back, of course.
No, I would not say I'm enjoying it. Do you know, I haven't been to the club for a claret in 2 weeks.
And I'm sure you feel all the better for it.
I do not feel all the better for it. I've been following a settled routine for years. It is most inconvenient having it disrupted by work.
Well, someone has to do it.
Yes, but the someone always used to be you. You like this sort of thing.
You've got Clive to help you?
Yes, oh gosh, yes.
You do sound as if your heart is not in it.
Well, it's a damn funny way to govern a country when you come down to it. My mission on behalf of Number 10 is to lunch political journalists and tell them there's no truth in the rumours that Gordon is right up his tartan straitjacket.
The point being there were no such rumours till you started them.
Exactly. My dear chap, I assure you the Chancellor does not chew pillows. He does not run around the Treasury stark naked, covered in woad with straw in his hat. He does not ring up the Governor of the Bank of England and start singing, "They're coming to take me away, ha-ha."
And the mud sticks.
And so does the straw, precisely. And I keep thinking, on the whole, I rather prefer him to the other pillock.
It's not a view I'd share with Archie, if I were you.
But what has any of this to do with serious government?
After 6 years of muck-spreading, filth-peddling and mischief-making, I have no hesitation in leaving that question unanswered.
You should see the British papers.
Yeah, we do get the British papers over here. We've actually got the internet in America, Martin, believe it or not. Mind you, in fairness to you, old fossil, I must say I'm most impressed.
Gordon Brown, a doctor, writes, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Mr. Barking Looney Tunes Brown, denies team of psychiatrists on permanent standby.
I particularly liked Brown abolishes VAT on white coats. This is all your handiwork?
I'm very much afraid it is.
Well, it's excellent. It's almost worthy of me. You should be proud of yourself.
Well, I'm not. Frankly, I feel unclean. Of course, you love all this, don't you?
My dear chap, in an American presidential election, this would be positively tame. You should hear what we're saying about the Democrats. The senator has invented a whole new meaning for the term cattle rearing. The congressman was not sent to Washington for that sort of congress. He is a philanderer, a liar, a criminal, and a pervert.
And you're reveling in it.
I haven't had this much fun since the day we got that email from Downing Street. Do you remember? It has come to the PM's attention that Claire Short has a reputation for being honest and principled. Kindly deal with this reputation immediately.
Yes, and you did.
Oh, my paws and whiskers. Where there's muck and all that.
How nice to be happy in your work.
Martin, you will look after the Downing Street retainer, won't you? You will remember who pays for the claret, even if you don't have time to drink it. You won't do anything silly.
Oh, it's a thought.
No, it is not a thought. Prentiss McCabe has standards to live down to. It is our vocation and our pleasure to lower the moral tone right through the floor, the basement, and the foundations. That is your sacred trust.
Charles, run this past me again. This is a wheeze, right?
Exactly.
Called Operation Marx Brothers. Explain the thinking.
And it's very simple. Its purpose is to reduce the Democratic campaign to the level of total farce.
I get you. It's such a pity Al Gore's not standing. He reduced their last campaign to a farce on his own.
I can't help feeling Al Gore would have received a positive boost if a man in a Harpo Marx wig had cut his tie off and started playing improbable harp music. Would have made him more interesting.
Okay, well, feed me some ideas.
Well, now, we'll start in a small way with simple double bookings of rooms. If the Democrats have booked a hall for one of their rallies, we'll book the same hall for the annual convention of Maurice Chevalier impersonators. I think a combination of My Fellow Americans and Thank Heaven for Little Girls should take the edge off their serious message.
I like it.
And now next, we'll work the Lydia the Tattooed Lady wheeze. God, I love America. What other country? Where else could you lift a phone and say, get me 1,000 tattooed ladies called Lydia?
Consider it done. You seem very at home here, Charles.
Oh, it is wonderful. Your elections are so up close and personal. I feel as if my talents have been cramped and stifled all these years. In our country, we have to pretend everyone's an honourable member or a noble baroness, even though we all know they're nothing of the kind.
Thought you were abstaining.
I was, and thoroughly miserable it made me.
You're missing Charles, aren't you?
Well, yeah, if I'm honest, I suppose so. There's something about exuberant malevolence. It sort of cheers you up.
I even miss being insulted by Charles.
He does it well, I grant you that.
Clive, you are not the future of spin. You are the drip of publicity.
Martin, are you a human being or an interesting experiment? But so positive, so brimful of malicious energy.
Very hard-working.
Obnoxious, of course.
Intensely dislikable. By far the nastiest boss I've ever had.
Yet still, I do miss the obnoxious, dislikable bastard. If only there was some way of getting him back.
Not a cat's chance in hell.
It's odd, that, isn't it?
What is?
The cat. I mean, given that the only thing any normal cat wants to do is curl up by the nearest fire, you might have thought its chances in hell were quite positive. Or is that a piece of irrelevant mental meandering?
Yes, it is.
Yes, I suppose it is.
The president is not happy, Charles.
I simply don't understand why. We've got one Democratic candidate flatly denying he ever said, "Thank heaven for little girls," and another one strenuously rejecting claims about a fetish for tattooed ladies.
It's too crude. It's too simplistic.
It's ridiculous. You're an American. Anyway, you said, and I remember it distinctly, that you liked my thinking.
That was before the president said he didn't like it. So now I don't. He wants to be presidential and sophisticated.
Well, that's not an image relaunch, that's a personality transplant.
You don't do sophisticated, do you, Charles? Oh, I always knew we should have hired Martin. I mean, that business with the horse, Charles, you don't do that in Wyoming. California, yes. Wyoming, no. But there are lots of ways to say this, and I can't be bothered with any of them. You're fired.
Time for a change. The sun.
Yes. Well, let's be honest, it is, isn't it?
No, Martin, it is not. All we are saying is give Gordon a chance. The Mirror.
Here.
Martin, what are you saying? Are you responsible for this press coverage?
It is possible that remarks of mine to certain journalists may have been misconstrued, or even probably construed.
Let's give the prime smarmy boots the bum's rush. Let's wipe the silly grin off his silly face. Let's say, once and for all, take your sub-Churchillian cobblers and stick it in the knacker's yard. The Financial Times.
Succinct and lucid as ever.
Modest improvement in Tunisian inflation. The Independent. Let's lower the tone, preferably off a cliff. The Times Literary Supplement.
Yes.
What do you mean, yes?
Well, I suppose I mean yes. Face it, Archie, your man has become a bore.
A bore?
Oh, a terrible bore.
Martin, you have been fundamentally unsound.
Yes.
Once too often. The children are running around number 10 singing, "My old man's a smarmy boots, he wears a smarmy hat, he thinks he's Winston Churchill, really he's a... Yeah. Well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. And much the same might be said of you. Martin, you are irreversibly, irrevocably fired.
Am I? Oh, well, in that case, time for a change. Toot, toot. Charles!
Martin, old chap.
How obnoxious to see you. How are you?
I'm fine.
All well in Washington?
Oh, they can't get enough of me over there. George was only saying that last night.
It's easy to forget quite how dislikable someone is.
I remember distinctly I was in the middle of explaining global strategy to Condi, or was it Rummy? Anyway, that's quite enough about you. How's the agency? In the pink?
Not dissimilar colour.
The Downing Street retainer? The flurry of We Want Gordon press stories. They wouldn't be anything to do with you, would they? Only, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, you do, on occasion, go peculiar. I'm not impugning your sanity, stability, or taste in trousers, but you do, once in a while, go peculiar.
I'm not denying it.
They were you, weren't they?
To some extent.
And the Downing Street retainer?
Is not actually being retained at the moment, or ever again, in fact.
Martin, why?
Because... I don't know quite how to say this without being sick, but... I thought if I went just a bit peculiar, Archie might feel impelled to call you back.
Oh, well, I don't quite know what to say. Well, I do, actually. Well, the thing is, I wasn't actually talking to Condi and Rummy last night, or Georgie, or Colin. I was being deported.
What?
I'm an undesirable alien.
I know that.
But I'm an undesirable alien who's been fired. They said they wished they'd got Martin instead.
Oh, well, very touched. So you're back, and now I can start looking forward to missing you again.
The thing is, we haven't got the Washington account, and we haven't got the Downing Street account.
No, we've got the funeral directors, bald people, and the Liberal Democrats.
Well, they're hardly going to keep us in a style to which we become accustomed, are they?
Charles, how good to see you.
Is it? Well, I'll soon put a stop to that.
I've got the winner of the poetry competition. Farewell, dear comb. Good night, sweet jojoba.
Shut up!
Your claret, monsieur.
Oh, yes. I don't suppose there's any chance of having this claret on the slate, as though we're a little short at the moment.
For you, monsieur? No. Oh, there's a phone message, Monsieur Brown.
What?
He wished to buy you dinner at Granita.
Martin.
Well.
Gentlemen and Clive.
Thank you, Charles.
A toast to Prentiss McCabe. The future is bright. The future is Gordon.
You've been listening to Absolute Power by Mark Tavener. It stars Stephen Fry and John Byrne, with Alex Lowe, Tom George and Beth Chalmers. The music was by Matthew Scott, and the producer was Dawn Ellis.
Absolute Power by Mark Tavener, starring Stephen Fry, John Bird and Tony Gardner.
Charles, I'm so sorry about Martin. It's terrible news.
Thank you, Archie. Yes, I'm heartbroken. I'm bereft. Distraught.
He's such a loss.
Irreplaceable.
You were there, of course, at the end.
My dear Archie, how can you ask? I positively cried in my trousers at the exact moment that the judge said 7 years.
That judge was a swine.
Yeah, but some style, I thought. A polished act.
A polished act indeed. Poor Martin looked so frightened and vulnerable. Mind you, I suppose you would in the dock at the Old Bailey.
Yes. Martin is so little and the dock so big. Have to keep jumping up and down to get sentenced.
As God is my judge, I am not guilty.
How did the judge reply to that? He isn't, I am. You are 7 years.
Martin had the last word.
Oh, hardly that. And it's not the height of wit, is it, to call a judge an over-promoted, bewigged pillock, is it?
Well...
And what did the judge say in reply to that? Mr. McCabe, this evening I am taking my wife to a performance of Spamalot. We are then going to dinner at the Dorchester, following which we are going home to roger each other senseless. You are going to Belmarsh. Now who's the pillock?
It was utterly tasteless.
No, it was very cruel.
Charles!
Yeah, all right, I'm sorry. So, Archie, you're taking me to lunch?
Yes.
And to what do I owe this unaccustomed honour?
I'll explain over lunch.
Then lead on. Oh, damn. Shan't I? Oh, well. Prentiss McCabe without the McCabe?
No, you aren't.
Oh, Martin, hello. We were just talking about you.
When are you getting me out of here?
Well, getting you out is just what we were talking about, isn't it, Archie?
I am not spending 7 years in here. It's appalling.
Yes. It is a general idea, of course, though.
I'm sharing a cell with a man who did something unspeakable to a chicken.
Martin, you are in my thoughts.
Well, think about getting me out of here.
Stoicism, Martin.
Bugger stoicism.
Courage, Martin.
To hell with courage.
Martin, let me give you some advice. Climb every mountain.
Don't be ridiculous.
Ford every stream. Follow every ray. Well, you can't, I suppose, really, can you? Well, you see, the fact is, people need a sacrificial lamb. All the years of cronyism, sleaze, lying, spin, somebody had to be seen to pay.
And it had to be poor Martin.
Well, there was never any serious chance of the PM being carted off in chains, was there?
You'd never have thought it of Martin, would you? Selling the Millennium Dome to 3 American billionaires, 2 Russian mafiosi, the Sultan of Brunei and Jade Goody. It was a big mistake putting Prentiss McCabe in charge of Labour Party fundraising.
Be it but strictly McCabe on this occasion.
Really?
Oh, yes. I handed that straight over to Martin. I was busy at the time. I was on the committee to decide what to do about Prescott.
What did it decide?
It's still sitting. My suggestion involving a poker, a stoat, and a cement mixer was firmly rejected. The PM thought it might give people ideas about him.
You are ready to order?
Oh, I think so. I think I'll have the Belmarsh caviar.
Beluga caviar,
Well,
sir.
yeah, that's all you've got, yes. Then the snail porridge and the sacrificial lamb. And same for you, Archie?
Yeah, I suppose so.
And to drink?
Archie, something from behind the bars?
Do you think we should?
Oh, yes. I think we'll have the Montrachet to start, then a couple of bottles of the Aubryon.
Certainly, sir.
It's odd, isn't it?
What is?
The whole thing. Martin setting up the Labour Party Remote Contingency Fund.
On the grounds that the chances of the money actually reaching the Labour Party was a very remote contingency.
I hope you'll forgive me for saying this.
Well, a couple of glasses of Pullini Montrachet, and I could probably forgive Saddam Hussein. What is it?
Well, Martin's conviction for fraud. It has all the hallmarks of a wheeze. It's got your fingerprints all over it.
None of my fingerprints were ever found anywhere near it. I never touch anything called fundraising, Archie.
A lot of the paperwork went missing, of course.
Yes, so it did.
And Martin claimed throughout that he knew nothing about the whole thing.
A claim rejected by 12 good people and true.
It was a very complicated case for a jury.
Archie, you can say what you like about the proles. They know a dirty, scheming bastard when they see one. I say that with compassion, pity, and warm humanity.
Look, I've lived with Martin for 12 months, and I know him. There's no way he could have pulled a stunt like this.
What exactly do you expect me to do about it?
Well, you're my MP. You're Martin's MP. Campaign. Get him released.
Miss Connolly. Jessica, a backbench MP has no power to overturn a court's decision. And I have to tell you, McCabe is not exactly flavour of the month inside the party. I'm not going to boost my popularity with the whips if I start a Free the Dirty Scheming Bastard 1 campaign. Oh, I'm sorry. I know how painful this must be for you.
Yes, it is.
But what was it the judge said? You have besmirched, demeaned and polluted British public life.
But that's what's so ridiculous. Martin couldn't do all that. He hasn't got the strength. If somebody asked Martin to do some besmirching, demeaning and polluting, he'd have to go and lie down.
Have you taken your suspicions to the police?
No, well, they say the case is closed.
Yes, well...
Look, I'm pleading with you.
Jessica, I am your Member of Parliament. I'm here to serve you. I will do everything I can.
You are a wonderful man. And to think of my Martin being banged up when that crook is walking free.
Who exactly?
Well, Martin's partner, Prentiss.
Archie, are you asking me for a job?
Charles, I've spent the last 10 years working for New Labour. Much of it in Downing Street. Nobody will touch me with a barge pole.
Archie, Prentiss McCabe has spent the last 10 years working for Downing Street. Mind you, we do have a fairly broad range of other clients.
Exactly.
But thanks to Martin, the agency has received a great deal of free publicity over recent weeks. The papers are calling us Prentiss McConmen. We're in no position to recruit new staff, Archie.
Charles, I'm desperate.
I noticed that 10 years ago. I suppose you could come on work experience.
What?
Well, you'll get your bus fares and a cup of tea.
Charles, I have been a senior advisor to Tony Blair.
Well, go and work for Cameron then. He likes all things Blairite.
I couldn't work for him. I mean, what are his policies?
Oh, I can answer that. Yeah, no, I can't. He's against chocolate oranges and in favour of Norwegian dogs. No, that's not it. No, he's against Norwegian oranges and in favour of chocolate dogs.
I don't think that's right.
Oh, I've got it. Vote Conservative. There'll be free chocolate Norwegians on the NHS. You won't get there. No, you couldn't work for him, could you?
You see, I really feel you ought to give me a job, Charles.
Why?
I could help to make sure that the paperwork which is lost stays lost.
Is that an attempt at blackmail?
Charles, do you remember a policy proposal from Prentiss McCabe for a super casino, a 24-hour pub, a legalised brothel and a hospital all in one building? What was it you called the idea? A full, modern, drunken, riot leisure package.
I think the idea was Martin.
Oh, no, Charles. That's not what the paperwork says. I especially remember your argument that it was environmentally sound. It cuts out travelling, you said.
Young people get roaring drunk. They are transported on escalators past tasteful murals of Al Capone and Hannibal Lecter. They can enjoy all the amenities of our riot area and be in accident and emergency in 30 seconds.
Well, the Prime Minister thought it was a good idea.
Charles, this is a PM who thought Jeff Hoon was a good idea. And what was your argument about a brothel and a special clinic next door to each other with flashing neon signs saying Pox Doctors Rock?
It was blue skies thinking.
The decision was that British society was not quite ready, and that some of our newspapers certainly weren't. I wonder if they are now.
You know, Archie, I've suddenly remembered there is a vacancy at Prentiss McCabe.
Excellent.
It's a part-time position.
No, it isn't.
No, it isn't a part-time position.
And I shall need an office large enough to accommodate my skeletons cupboard.
You are a wag, aren't you?
Look, you see, with the best will in the world, it's difficult to argue that Martin is completely innocent.
But it must have been Charles's idea.
But there's no evidence of that. And look at the titles he was dishing out. One business tycoon alone became High Sheriff of Somerset, Fair to Middling Sheriff of Dorset, and Low-Slung Bum of Berkshire. And all for £500,000.
Yes, well, that hardly merits 7 years in the nick, does it?
Yeah, but what about Archbishop of Canterbury? I mean, there isn't a vacancy. We've already got one. And there was Martin tried to sell the position for £3 million.
Well...
to Charlotte Church.
And what was that email the police found? Great idea. We'll call her the People's Archbishop, TB.
No, that was a forgery.
Says who?
Downing Street. And I'm happy to accept their assurance.
Are you?
Well, what about Queen? I mean, you can't flog off the position of Queen, for pity's sake. Not even for 10 million. Even Richard Branson drew the line at that.
Yes, he offered 8 million.
Look, the truth is this, Jessica. If Martin hadn't got caught, the Labour Party would have been very rich. And Britain would have had 3 queens, several popes, and enough lords to fill the Millennium Stadium.
Bad day, sir.
Yes, James, it has been.
I expect you're missing Mr. McCabe.
Well, you know, it's an odd thing, but there are worse things in life than Martin.
Sad what happened.
Yes. I mean, funny, of course, but not without its tragic side.
You bastard!
Oh, no, let me see. That must be the organising secretary of my fan club. Jessica! Straining up under the bear, are we? Looking after Martin's house and Martin's money? Keeping his yacht warm?
You never liked me, did you, Charles?
It's interesting, isn't it, the way sometimes one's instincts are on a kind of fast forward. In your case, I think I formed an instant dislike 3 months before I met you.
You just can't believe that I could love Martin for himself.
Jessica, nobody could love Martin for himself. Can't be done.
That's why he needed me. Thanks to you, he was drowning in cynicism.
Martin McCabe did not drown in cynicism. He swam in it, like an Olympic athlete. Until that night when he suddenly seemed to go mush-brained.
That magical night Archie introduced us.
Archie introduced you? Yes, I must admit I'd forgotten that.
Oh, don't worry, Charles. You'll have lots of time to remember the past soon, when your more colourful emails start coming to light. Like this one, for example.
Oh, Sarah, I wouldn't call myself extremely important.
But you were always in the papers.
Oh, well, the press will have their fun. The PM never makes a move without consulting Archie Hilditch, his invaluable right-hand man. One learns to live with it. Ha, 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 ha.
Nothing to do, Sarah?
I'm just going. Oh, David Cameron phoned, and he set up a commission to decide whether he's going to phone back.
Oh, Charles, I've got an email.
Yes, I've seen it.
From CP to TB. I realise this may be of questionable morality, but...
Yes, my dear Archie, there are a number of perfectly reasonable explanations.
Such as?
Well, I mean, CP could be anybody.
Like who?
Charlie Parker?
Charlie Parker is a dead trumpet player.
Well, you can break anybody's alibi if you try hard enough. But look, the thing is, Archie, this email is not evidence.
Well, what about great TB. I suppose you're going to tell me that was Tom Baker.
No, Archie, now you're just being silly. Obviously, that was the Prime Minister.
Ah.
And clearly what he's saying here is that the very idea grates on his nerves.
Charles.
Well, actually, all right, that one didn't even convince me. Look, the point people still haven't grasped about the PM is this. Whenever he says something, he means the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Well, take his party conference speech. Everybody thought he was saying goodbye, when he was actually saying hello. I don't know why you say goodbye, I say hello, hello.
Charles.
Or is that a piece of irrelevant mental meandering?
Yes, it is.
Yes. Ah, yes.
I knew it was yours.
There you go. Oh, yes, what is life if full of care we have no time to take the piss out of Gordon? To that end, Prime Minister, I suggest we invent an alternative leadership candidate. One so ridiculous, so preposterous, so completely incredible. And we build him up to destabilize your next-door neighbour.
Yes, go on.
Well, I did go on. I went on like this. Happily, a name suggests itself immediately, Prime Minister. Alan Interesting Johnson. I know what you're thinking, sir. The man is so boring, he would make 100 great football phone-ins sound interesting. I suggest we start running this in the Sun and the Times. If it comes from Downing Street, they'll print any old rubbish. And within weeks, those pompous asses known as lobby journalists will be nodding sagely and whispering to each other, Alan Interesting Johnson.
There.
Yeah. There what exactly? I'm not denying authorship. But what has that got to do with cash for honours, eh?
Read the last bit.
Very well. Yes, there is a P.S. I realise the Alan Johnson joke will only have a limited shelf life because it is so frankly incredible. However, when it's run its course, I suggest we swell party funds by flogging him to the Americans as a genuine village idiot. You can't blackmail me on this. You can't spell the word joke, can't you? This isn't evidence of anything. I didn't seriously mean we should flog Interesting Johnson to the Americans. They wouldn't buy him. They don't need a village idiot. They've already got one.
I merely point out to you that there's an explicit reference to party fundraising with your signature on it.
Oh, for pity's sake. I thought you were here on the basis that bodies would remain buried and skeletons would stay in cupboards. So-called incriminating emails are not part of the contract. At this rate, there'll be corpses and carnage like an episode of Midsummer Murders directed by Tarantino.
Charles, I'm on your side.
As Darrell Hare said to Inzamam al-Haq.
No, I mean it. I'm here to help you.
Are you?
I want Prentiss McCabe to survive and prosper. Believe me, I mean it. Free for lunch?
Well, I rather think I'm going to take the Divine Sarah for lunch, actually. Sarah, I'm not the sort of boss who says, I want to run a happy ship. Ship can be as miserable as bloody sin, as far as I'm concerned, as long as it's making me lots of money.
That's the thing about you, Charles. You're a very honest person, except when you're lying.
That's the most brilliant analysis of my character I've ever heard. Look, I do want people to be happy, really. It's just that I want me to be happy as well. Now, obviously, you're getting on fine with Archie, which is great. I just sort of wondered why, really.
Well, he's got such great plans.
How do you mean?
Well, when he becomes chief executive.
Chief executive of what?
Prentiss McCabe.
Oh, really?
Yes.
And this is when, not if, is it?
Well, yeah, he said that. Well, you know, that you wouldn't be round much longer.
Oh, did he?
He said that you'd be joining Martin in Slam City.
Oh, did he?
He said that you were two of life's natural-born naughty bunnies.
Oh, did he?
He said that I was a bright young woman and I had to look after myself.
Sarah, I think I ought to buy you a second drink.
Well, you haven't bought me a first one yet. So, we're closing in on the second one.
Poor Charles. He's going to wonder what's hit him. You know, Prentiss McCabe really is worth an awful lot of money.
Oh, yes.
I hadn't realised. Everybody who's ever been up to anything slightly doubtful has at some time used Prentiss McCabe. Their client list is extraordinary. Banks, football clubs, Fraser the Razor of Bethnal Green.
The company's assets are still very considerable.
It is ironic, though, isn't it? They were never anything to do with party fundraising. They weren't involved in cash for peerages at all.
I think you and I both know that, Archie.
Still, it is ironic, isn't it? Charles and Martin, they've, what's the expression, stolen some horses together.
Ducking and diving and bobbing and weaving.
And now they're crashing and sinking and flopping and dropping. And they're innocent.
Martin, will you stop your incessant whining? I know about the food and the conditions and people beating you up. Into every life a little rain must fall. It's not all champagne, sunshine and rumpy-pumpy.
Don't you mention rumpy-pumpy to me.
No. Come on, not the bending over in the shower. That's such a cliché of prison drama. It's so yesterday. Well, I suppose in your case, it's yesterday, today, tomorrow, the day after. No. You're right. Your situation is an outrage.
I already know I'm innocent. What are you doing about it?
I'm devoting my every waking hour to getting you out.
Well, that's a change of tune.
It's not a change of tune. I may have increased the volume a bit. Martin, you and I have been the victims of a wheeze. Us, Prentiss McCabe. Nobody does that and gets away with it. So, the first thing to do is to get you moved to an open prison.
Well, it will be better than this.
Well, never mind that. It'll mean you can do business. Much of British industry and the entire Department of Culture, Media and Sport are run from open prisons. Now, who in the prison service owes P. McC a favour?
It's Charles, I've got to go.
Oh, my word, we're going to have fun beating these bastards.
I've got to go.
Martin!
Charles, I've only got a cheap phone card and Fraser the Razor's behind me in the queue.
Oh, is he? Give him my love. How is the old meat cleaver?
I've got to go.
Martin, I miss you. That's as much of that as you're going to get for the next 20 years.
Charles, hi.
He likes peaches, he likes cream. He's the captain of the team.
Charles, you're quite well.
You know, I spent all day thinking, what do you remind me of? First of all, I thought silk purses and sows' ears. And I thought, no, it's a cliché. Anyway, what about those poor old sows? They all go to collect their pensions and saying, I can't hear you, but I brought my purse.
Irrelevant meandering, Charles.
Archie Martin is the only man who was ever able to shut me up. You are not in his league. Then I thought, something glossy, showy, meretricious. Looks good but doesn't deliver. Well, that's Tony Blair, obviously, but he's a bit of a cliché himself. Then I got it. You remind me of an anonymous Australian.
Charles, I'm neither anonymous nor Australian.
No, but the chap who wrote this was, there was a young man from Australia who painted his bum as a dahlia. Though the colour was fine and so was the design, the aroma was rather a failure.
Charles Prentiss, Jack Bibble.
Ah, good of me to see you. Now, you are Martin McCabe's Member of Parliament.
Yes, and I've done everything I can.
Oh, I'm sure you have, and no doubt you were lobbied to do so.
By Jessica, Martin's partner, yes.
Yes, of course. I want to ask you a slightly personal question. How did she strike you? Attractive?
Well, yes. Bright.
Pushy?
Well, certainly that, yeah. Quite a young woman. I mean, none of my business, but Martin McCabe is...
No spring chicken, no, indeed. More a chicken giving the last squawk of autumn, isn't it? But that is food for thought, isn't it? I mean, how did she lobby you? Plaintively, I imagine. Piteously, even.
She was very insistent, although the last time I saw her, she did say something odd. She said, I must be seen to have explored every avenue. Struck me as a strange way of putting it.
Isn't it? Yes. Well, thank you. You've been most helpful. I'm afraid I have a most painful story to tell a fond, foolish old man.
Well, if there's anything I can do.
Kind of you, but no, this is down to me. Such a somber task, I can hardly bring myself to laugh about it. Although, good try.
I've been such a fool, Charles.
Love makes fools of us all, Martin, and it's made a prize pillock out of you.
Very comforting, Charles.
I have no wish to add to the pain of a man in prison.
Good.
But you are a mush-headed, muddled old sado led by his drooping, wrinkled naughty bits into an asinine alliance with a gold-digging tart.
Poetically put and spiritually spiritually uplifting.
Martin, you're 96 years old.
No, I'm not.
Well, I could have sworn you were 90. Well, the point still holds. She is in her 30s. What do you even imagine that she saw in you?
Intellect, charm, wit.
Oh, and money, possibly. The crinkle-tinkle of wild spondoolies calling to her across the plains.
I know that now.
So, Martin, when are you moving to this open prison,
Tomorrow.
Well, let's hope it improves your brain. I would say keep your pecker up, but none of this would have happened in the first place if you'd kept your pecker where it should have been. Sarah, I'm going out for a while. It's time for some people to learn that if they think they can outwheeze Prentiss McCabe, they are sorely mistaken.
I'm going to have to lock up now, sir. It's past midnight.
Right, yes, splendid. Yes.
That is one mountain of paperwork.
Oh, I know. I feel like George Smiley wading through the files.
Looking for the mole.
Oh, I have the advantage of knowing who the moles are. There must be discrepancy in this evidence somewhere. Couldn't bring me some more claret, could you?
Well, seeing as it's you...
Got it! James, forget the claret.
You're going home?
No. Now, bring me a bottle of the best champagne in the house.
Right.
A toasted bacon sandwich wouldn't come amiss.
Bacon sandwich?
And have one for yourself, of course. Martin's paying.
Archibald Pius, Joan of Arc, Assisi Hildreth.
I didn't know you were a Hindu, Archie.
I am arresting you in connection with the sale of honours under the Crown.
It was Jessica's idea.
Oh, they've arrested her already, Archie. She seems to think it was all your idea.
My officers are waiting outside, sir, if you'd like to go with them.
Charles!
Goodbye, Archie. See you again, although not any time soon.
Mr. Prentiss, we appear to have made a mistake.
No. It was only by chance that I spotted it, really. You see, on these dates here, Martin wasn't in the office. He suddenly decided, you see, that he needed an urgent business trip to Jamaica. At the exact time England were playing a test match there, as it happens. But here's the point, officer. On this day here, Martin was in the West Indies. He couldn't possibly have been offering to make Jamie Oliver chief rabbi for £1 million. The whole thing was an elaborate wheeze to take over the assets of Prentiss McCabe. Trying to implicate me was the big mistake. Made me start rummaging.
Yeah, well, I'm sure the appeal court will expedite your partner's release. Goodbye, Mr. Prentiss.
Hello?
Hello, Charles.
Martin, I have wonderful news. You're going to be released.
Oh, right.
Well, you might sound pleased.
Well, I am.
So, how's the open prison,
It's rather pleasant. There's a cricket pitch, swimming pool. The company is much more civilized.
Yeah, well, anyway, you'll be out of there soon.
Well, you know, Charles, I don't think I want to rush back to work after all I've been through. Anyway, can't stop. I thought I'd motor into the country for some lunch.
What?
Well, it's good enough for Geoffrey, aren't you?
You bastard!
Now, Charles, courage, stoicism, climb every mountain thing.
You swine! I haven't slept for the last week trying to clear your name.
Dear Charles, you deserve a peerage.
You've been listening to Absolute Power by Mark Tavener, starring Stephen Fry, John Bird and Tony Gardner, with Saskia Wickham, Michael Fenton-Stevens, Bethan Walker and Joseph Kloska. The music was by Matthew Scott and the producer was Dawn Ellis.